and welcome to the inaugural videocast of Houghton Heroes Fantasy Football League. My name is Dan, and I will be giving you videos every week on predictions, recaps, funny things, interviews, etc., to get everyone updated and ready for the upcoming week of fantasy football. This upcoming 2013 fantasy year is destined to be the best so far. Before we dive into the new year, why don't we recap the old one? Last year's fantasy season ended with Kyle winning the championship. He beat newcomer Dan in the finals. It ended up being a very, very close matchup, more than what everyone thought. Coming in third was Holly, who managed to win on the very last day of the season to make the playoffs. Coming in fourth was Co-Commissioner Kavi, a very strong showing, seeing as how he made the playoffs. Coming in fifth, snubbed from the playoffs again, was Drew. He lost to Carl on the last day, which would have opened his way to the playoffs, but once again, he did not make it. In sixth was Steve, kinda owned no man's land. Seventh was Jake, proving that he was not the Sacco for the second year in a row. Carl beating Drew on the last day only awarded him an 8th place finish. Coming in 9th was Simon, probably a product of being in a very, very, very strong division. And coming in last was Benda, the Sacco. And that is how the 2012 fantasy football season shaped up. Now it's time for a segment that we like to call our Unfamous Construction Worker Spotlight. And this week, we highlight construction worker Kenny from Detroit.
All right, now can I get your name?
My name's Kenneth Harris. What's happening?
Where are you from?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit? Kenny? Now, what's your favorite food to eat every night?
Roast.
Sorry?
Roasted potatoes.
Roasted potatoes. That's pretty good. Now, you say you're from Detroit. Is Detroit your favorite team?
Detroit Lions all the way. #1, baby.
Why do you like Detroit so much?
Well, the city's been down for so long, and now we need the team started building itself back up. We need a championship football team, just like we did the Tigers.
Alrighty, now, if you had the #1 pick in a fantasy draft, who would you take?
#1 pick in fantasy, Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson would be you wouldn't take a running back or a quarterback?
No.
Now,
not at all.
There's a lot of speculation this year about whether Adrian Peterson or not can repeat what he did last year. Do you think he can repeat?
You know what? He's getting a little bit more tougher, so I really don't think so. He's a pretty good running back, though.
Pretty good running back, that's for sure. Now, besides Jimmy Graham, who's the best tight end in the league, and who should someone take in the draft as a tight end?
Wow, who's the best tight end so far? I probably would take Jason Witten.
Jason Witten from
Solid
Dallas.
veteran, Dallas Cowboys.
Great. Now, are you a supporter of the Finger Puppet Mafia? Do you support the Finger Puppet Mafia?
The what? Man, the Finger Puppet Mafia. It ain't reality.
It ain't reality?
Yeah, I don't like the...
You don't think they're going all the way this year?
No. But I am a fan of the Fantasy Big Dog League.
The Fantasy Big Dog League. What's that?
That's my fantasy league.
I see. Now, last question. If Beyonce came up to you and said she'd have sex with you only if you licked her butthole, would you do that?
No.
No chance.
I have morals.
Well, thanks, Kenny. I appreciate the time.
All right. Appreciate it. Peace out.
Once again, we'd like to thank Kenny for taking time out of his busy day to interview with us and give us his thoughts on the upcoming season. Next, what's a new year without predictions? I'm going to give you 5 bold predictions that will come true this year in our fantasy league, starting with number 5. Prediction number 5 is a little bit cocky, but is anyone surprised? I'm going to make the playoffs, and not only make, I will win this league despite finishing second in my own division. Prediction number 4. Benda, you're going to get the Sacco again. Sorry, it's, in my mind, pretty inevitable. Number 3. Drew will win at least 2 of his first 4 games, allowing him to make the playoffs this year. Number 2. After getting trade raped in the last 2 years, I believe this is the year Jake makes no trades at all. And finally, my prediction, number 1, most bold, is that your champion, Kyle, does not make the playoffs this year. Those were my 5 bold predictions. If anyone feels to comment, to disagree, agree with me, feel free to comment on the league message board. And now it's time to bring in our special guest on the Sacco Cream Hotline, Co-Commissioner Kavi Pandey. Kavi, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks for pronouncing my name right. I'm good.
Good. Has your summer and winter been an eventful one so far?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of work, working a lot. Went to India for a wedding. Just killing it. Moved to New York City last week. So big move. Been trying to go there for about 10 years. So finally there. I'm excited for phase 3 of my life.
Stage 3 sounds like it's a lot of work, but right now let's focus on, obviously, you're the commissioner of our Houghton Hero fantasy.
I gotta say, co-commissioner.
Co-commissioner.
Steve Rivard is the co-commissioner with me.
Co-commissioner, all right, I stand corrected. You are the co-commissioner of our Houghton's Heroes fantasy league. Obviously, we're starting a new season here. What are your feelings about last season as a commissioner, from a commissioner standpoint?
Yeah, I was surprised by the amount of blockbuster trades, like teams going completely restructuring themselves from what they had drafted. I've never seen anything like that before. I'd have to say it was mostly instigated by our new member, Dan. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Livernois, whatever it is. But you were the one that said, hey, let's trade a lot, and everyone was on board. And you made a lot of big moves and shook up the league, and now I think hopefully we're savvy next year, and you don't trade rape as many people as you did last year.
Now, this year coming in, there's speculation that each team will get to pick their own draft position. With this new draft style, how do you think it's going to affect the league and just how it plays out?
I think now that people will go into the draft knowing exactly their numbers, they'll be able to predict their pace better and organize their team better. Because the last couple of years, an hour before draft time, and complete chaos. You never know if you have the number 1 pick, number 10 pick, until literally like 1 hour before the draft started. So now I think hopefully teams will take advantage of this new process and actually plan out and have better strategies going into the draft. Unlike some who just wing it. But if you want to wing it, go for it.
Now, last season we did have an undefeated team in Kyle, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, accurately named. What do you think the chances are that we see an undefeated team this upcoming year, or even in future seasons?
I think pretty much 0%. I don't know. I mean, he took a lot of chances. He took a big risk on AT that worked out. So a lot of things went his way that could have gone the other way, but I'm really happy for him, and I don't think it's ever going to happen again in the next 30, 40 years of this league.
34, that's quite a long time, but now we also know that you do own your own team in this league. You finished 4th, you made the playoffs, but lost in the first round. Do you view last season as a disappointment in any way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I had Calvin Johnson, who broke every record, almost all the records a wide receiver could break, except the one that gives him the most points, the touchdown record. So, yeah, I think I had a really good team, and just like the Lions season, it was a disappointment overall. I mean, 4th place isn't anything. I mean, 3rd is respectable. At least I won 1 playoff game, but yeah, no, I'm not really happy with 4th place. I'd like to crack the top 3 this year.
Now, you did mention that the newcomer Dan did make the championship game last year. Out of him and Drew, out of being snubbed out of the playoffs the last couple of years because of a very poor start, who do you think has more to prove between those two players?
I think Dan still does. He wants to prove that it wasn't just a fluke season and that he can consistently make the playoffs, much like Holly. Because Dan likes to talk a lot of trash, and I like it. It's great, but he needs to back it up and keep making it. If he drops and doesn't make the playoffs, he will be more ridiculed than Drew. Drew, we just know will never make the playoffs ever. So we've all accepted it.
Now, is there anything you're looking forward to this year that you kind of didn't see last year?
Yeah, I'm hoping that people will be more active on the waivers and be smarter about trading. I mean, we're still a very young league, if you look at the grand scheme of things. But I'm a little bit disappointed by some players are more active than others, and it creates a big gap in parity. So people like Andrew and Jake, I'd like to see them be a lot more active, so we can have a much more balanced league.
Now, last Kavi, do you have any predictions for this year? Maybe a sleeper that you see performing better than they did last year, a favorite even that you think has a really good chance going all the way, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If I had the number one pick, I'm going to go with Doug Martin. I already said it. I told Simon Johnson this. Doug Martin, he's going to be the best fantasy player this year. And I also think Matthew Stafford's going to have a big bounce back season. But yeah, Doug Martin for the fantasy MVP of the year.
Well, that's definitely a bold prediction. Kavi, I want to thank you for joining us here, taking the time out of your schedule. I hope that Phase 3 goes well for you in your new life.
My pleasure, Dan. Thanks for talking.
Now, what's worth playing fantasy football without finishing first? Before we end our videocast, I'm going to predict where everyone finishes this year in fantasy, whether you like it or not. In following my bold predictions, I'm going to start off with number 10. Benda, you're going to get the Sacco again. And how about some insider information? I believe that in the 5th round of this year's NFL draft, the Vikings selected a punter from UCLA. Maybe you should spend your 3rd round pick on him? Probably a good choice. Coming in 9th is Carl. Carl, I know you just started grad school at CMU, and I know it's a lot of work. I don't think that you're going to be able to put as much time into your team as you would like. That's going to lead to a 9th place finish. Holly, you're coming next in 8th. Girl, you smack talk more than anybody that I know, and smack talk only gets you so far. So far, to an 8th place finish. Coming in 7th is Jake. Jake, you're a very strong drafter, but your teams never really pan out for you. That will lead to a 7th place finish. Coming in 6th is Steve. Steve, MJD only can run so far, and he'll run you to a 6th place finish, same as you finished last year. In 5th is Kyle. Kyle, I predicted that you wouldn't make the playoffs this year, and again I'm going to say it once more. Coming in 5th, Kyle. Making the playoffs this year is Simon. Like I said last year, an unlucky division placement led to your downfall, but I think you changed things around this year. Coming in 3rd is Kavi. Last year you finished 4th. You said it was a little bit of a disappointment, so I think you're going to move up 1 spot to 3rd. Drew, like I said, making the playoffs. I think you're going to lose in the championship game to myself, breaking the streak of you not making the playoffs. And that's my video cast for the week. I'd like to thank Co-Commissioner Kavi Pandey for taking time out of his schedule once more to come visit us today. And also, construction worker Kenny. Kenny, you're the man. Now remember everyone, fantasy football is about having fun. So let's have fun, make fun of Benda, lose to me of course, and I'll see you all on draft day.